Thank you all very much for being here this morning. I am really excited about introducing this new bill this week called the Food Stamp Integrity Act of 2016. You know, we have a limited amount of money in our country to take care of those who are truly needy. And in order to make sure that happens, we also need to make sure we eliminate fraud in our public assistance programs and help our families become independent of government assistance. My bill helps in all three cases. Now, those of you who we have come to know each other for a little bit over the years know that I'm very cognizant of the fact that our federal government is $19 trillion in debt. And this debt is rising. That's why on the second day in Congress, I co-sponsored legislation to push for a balanced budget amendment to our Constitution to make sure we force Washington to do what our families and our small businesses already do, which is spend only what they take in and live within their means. Now today, at current low levels of interest rate, the annual payments, interest payments, on that $19 trillion in debt is $240 billion per year. Now that's more than twice what we spend on veterans benefits in a year. Now when interest rates start to rise, those annual interest payments will spike. It'll make it even more difficult to fully fund our national security, our borders, our public safety, education, environmental protection, and our public assistance program. Now, those of us in public service have to make sure we realize there is a limited amount of money that we have to take care of the poor and the disabled and those that are the elderly sick. We must show compassion to make sure that we have integrity in our public assistance programs to make sure that happens. Now I also need to tell everybody that we have another major problem here in our district and our state, and that's the opioid and the heroin epidemic. Now in my own family, I've experienced firsthand how destructive and how painful substance abuse is for those that are addicted and for the families that are trying to help. That's why in Congress, I'm one of the original members of the bipartisan task force to combat the heroin epidemic. And I will not stop doing everything humanly possible to make sure the federal government helps our states and our local communities to end this epidemic. Now, 2 years ago, not far from Boston Street, a fellow by the name of Paul Anderson was arrested for drug trafficking. He is currently serving a 10-year term in federal prison. Now at the site, there were 6 state-issued EBT cards that were issued in other people's names. Now they were automatically reissued 114 times. That doesn't make any sense. Here in Amescott County alone, the taxpayers spend about $2.5 million every month to help fund the food stamp program. Nationally, every year, there's about $750 million in fraud that's committed in our food stamp program. Now, stolen EBT cards hurt us in three ways. First of all, it helps fuel the drug trade that's killing our kids. Secondly, it is cheating those individuals who desperately need this public assistance from receiving that care. And thirdly, it's cheating the taxpayers who pay the bills. So we must do everything possible to make sure we stop this fraud in our food stamp program. Now this week, I am really excited about introducing new legislation called the Food Stamp Integrity Act of 2016. And this new bill has 4 common sense reforms. It will deter drug dealers from using these EBT cards for pushing their product. It will better ensure that our welfare dollars are used for the truly needy. It will ask able-bodied individuals to make sure they work at least 20 hours a week in order for their neighbors and their taxpayers to help them with food security. And it will treat the taxpayers fairly. Now let's dig into the bill a little bit. Now right here you can see that we have a comparison between current law and the new bill that I'm introducing. We also have handouts that I'm sure you folks have seen, and we invite the press to take it back with you. Currently, the state of Maine and all states across the country must replace reported lost or stolen EBT cards with no questions asked within 2 days. And states cannot interview and ask even why this has happened until 4 cards issued to the same individual are reported stolen or lost. And my bill changes this. It allows the states to conduct face-to-face interviews with the beneficiaries after 2 cards are reported stolen or lost. And the state of Maine and every other state can also deny replacing these EBT cards if 4 are reported lost or stolen within 1 year. Now I got to congratulate the Sun Journal, right over here across the street. Some of the reporters over there did one heck of a job doing the early investigative work when it comes to the use of EBT cards in our drug trade. Let's keep moving on this law. Currently, under existing law, if you are convicted of fraud in the food stamp program, you can still receive those benefits after 1 year. If you are convicted of drug trafficking, you can still receive food stamps 2 years after your conviction. And if you are late in your child support payments, you can still receive these EBT cards uninterrupted. Now this isn't right. My bill changes that. If you are convicted of frauding, or defrauding I should say, the food stamp program, or you're convicted of drug trafficking, you are permanently disqualified from receiving food stamps, period.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. In addition to that, if you are late in your child support payments, you can still continue to receive food stamps as long as you have a payment plan that has been approved. Today under current law, if you are able-bodied, you can still receive food stamps if you work at least 20 hours a week, or you're involved in community service, or you're getting training for your future job. And you have a 3-month free pass over 3 years, meaning as long as you are continuing to work and don't violate that 3-month exemption, you can continue to receive your food stamps. Now, my bill adjusts that a little bit. You need to make sure that you are working, doing community service, or furthering your education for that entire period of time, except those 3 months. And if you violate the 3 months, then you cannot receive food stamps for 4 years, not 3 years. So this is encouraging people to become independent and to live better lives with more dignity and a paycheck. I'll tell you, I travel throughout this district and I talk to our business owners. There are plenty of starter jobs out there, plenty of additional jobs out there. We want to encourage those that are able to work, or to be involved in community service or further education. This is the compassionate thing to do. So I'm really excited about this new bill. It does one more thing that's very important. It makes sure that it removes the waiver that states can now have from complying with work requirements. These states, all states, must comply with these work requirements. Now, in summary, this bill is compassionate. It is compassionate in saving precious, limited taxpayer funds for those who truly need it. It is compassionate in that it reduces food stamp fraud so we can save the money for those that are disabled, those that are poor, those that are disabled. And it encourages able-bodied individuals to work and to make sure they remove themselves as quickly as they can from as many public assistance programs as they can to live lives of independence and more dignity. And it also treats our taxpayers fairly more for the bill. Now with that, I'd be delighted to answer any questions you have, but I can't stay very long because I'm heading over to Lewiston and the Auburn Police Department to spend time with our law enforcement officers who spend every day of the line protecting us. Anybody have any questions?
Right here.
Yes, sir.
Now I notice I get $120 a month food stamp. I'm a veteran. I've been homeless 3 months. I know there's a lot of people selling for half price. But how can you stop that, sir?
That's exactly what this bill is trying to do, sir.
Yeah.
To improve that situation. By the way, thank you very, very much for your service to our country.
And I want to tell people of Lewiston, Auburn to vote for Mr. What's your name? Poliquin. French Canadian. And make me some coteau.
National media.
Which news organization are you with?
Mainstay Media, Quebec Journal. You're worried about the permanent disqualification, the criticism of the permanent disqualification, the criticism of that is someone makes a mistake, and these benefits aren't only for them, they're for dependents, they're for children. Someone makes a mistake, what level of mistake do they have to make to get a lifetime disqualification? Are you worried that'll end up hurting some poor kids in the meantime?
It's a good question. Thank you for asking. It just disqualifies the individual that has committed fraud in the program before. No longer can someone who's found right. They can receive those benefits.
And the child.
I get one more question after him.
Let's chat afterwards.
Congressman, as you know, the LePage administration, which I think supports these changes, I don't know if, first of all, did you propose this, develop this bill in consultation with them?
I've been discussing and been a big proponent of reforming our welfare programs since I've been state treasurer's office. So we are continuing to work down this path. We have all kinds of opportunities for these programs, and that's what the administration is doing.
So, two of their other things, they've talked a lot about photos on EBT cards and the banning junk food purchases with SNAP benefits. Why did you choose not to include those in this bill?
There are all kinds of opportunities to continue to reform our welfare programs. We picked these because we think we'll have enough votes on the Republican side, the Democrat side, to get this law passed. But there's all kinds of work to go forward to make sure that we make these programs as sound and secure and efficient as humanly possible.
Have you talked to Democrats, Democratic Congress people? Have you talked to Democrats? Are they still supportive
Well,
of
we're
this?
introducing this bill on Thursday. Now start the process to reach out to our fellow Republicans and Democrats in the House. But I think you've seen in other bills that I've introduced and other legislation I've supported, I work with Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter. I don't work for the Republican Party. I don't work for the Democrat Party. I work for 650,000 people that I represent myself in. So we will be working with Republicans and Democrats to move this legislation forward.
Hey, a quick question about the plagiarism debate from Mrs. Trump's speech versus Michelle Obama's speech. You have a reaction to that?
Well, I'm focusing on my work here in the district. As you can see, I'm not down at the convention. I'm not a delegate. They're having their own, race and convention, and God bless them. And then the Democrats will have it next week. I'm focusing on my work for the second district. Yes, sir. You had a question.
I was wondering,
Ryan, right?
Huh?
Ryan.
Yes. I was just wondering, how's it going to work when the state of Maine wants to, drug test people in order to get assistance?
That's a real good question. What I'd ask you to do, Ryan, is reach out to DHHS up in Augusta. They're wonderful people there. They'll be able to answer that question for you.
Right, thank
this
you.
deals with another very few specific issues. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from credentialed media before we go visit our friends in the Lewiston PD?
I guess I would ask, maybe it's a timing question, I don't know. Not a lot of time between now and Election Day, certainly, to get this through. Do you think, is it realistic to think you can get this passed during the remainder of this year? Would it have to likely wait until the next Congress?
We don't know, Don. It's a really good question. I will say this. What I've learned down there is that the wheels of government move very slowly. But there are some things we have been very successful in getting through, like securing 900 jobs at New Balance athletic shoe factories. 900 jobs in Norwich, Skowhegan, and Norway. We're able to push that through the House. The Senate has got it done. Now, hopefully, it will remain in conference. The President will sign it. This bill, it starts the process. We'll work as fast as we can. I can't promise you when we'll get it done. So what are the discussions you're having with the police today? We want to make sure that our office, and me in particular, make it very clear to the police forces in our state and in our district that I am standing behind them. These are the folks that go out every day to risk their lives to make sure that we can do this. And we have all of our constitutional rights that are protected. Our constitutional right of assembly like this, or freedom of speech. And they need to make sure they know, I need to make sure they know that I've got their back. They should not be targets. We should support our police officers. And that's what I'm heading with. Anybody else? Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Don, good to see you.